Hello and welcome everyone. In this video on data cleaning in Excel, I'll talk about 9 different use cases of the feature Go to Special. A lot of you may know this feature, but if you look at the use cases, you might find this very useful. So let me begin, and before I do so, let me remind you the shortcut key for the feature I'm about to discuss in Windows is Ctrl G or function key F5, and for Mac you can look at the caret sign with the G. Now, first use case. Suppose you have a data which may have a few errors in some of these cells. Now, if you wish to do a sum of a range of values, one of which may contain an error, the end result will not give you the outcome you are looking for, it will give you an error. And if you can delete that error, great. But are you going to do that manually for large data sets? No. So what I need to do is find a technique which allows me to choose all these cell ranges at one go, delete the errors, and at the same time highlight those cells which had errors in them. So I go choose the data, I press the function key F5 or I press Ctrl G. Now when you get this dialog box, you might be wondering, where did this come from? So you can go to Home tab, look at Find and Select, and within Find and Select you will see something called Go to Special. So I'm talking about this feature. Nevertheless, let me press Ctrl G, Go to Special button, and here I'm looking at various options, one of which says please go to those special cells which have formulas in them, and the outcome of those formulas are errors. So you're being very specific. If you press OK, all these cells got selected, the cells which had errors in them. Now at this point, if you try to choose one cell separately, you will lose all the selections. So please don't do that. Let me repeat the process. Ctrl G, go to Special, choose formula with the outcome as errors, and I press OK. Now immediately I go to the fill color and color it with a specific color. And since all the 3 cells are still selected, I can press the delete key. See? Pretty easy, right? So why don't you pause the video right now and see if you can practice with a small data set? Now, is this the end of the exercise? No, there are many use cases and it might be a lengthy video. So if you want to bookmark this to watch later, you can do that. Or if you can spare some minutes, please watch this in one go right till the end. So if I want to find out which are the cells which have some kind of calculations inside them. Okay, so I choose the data once again, I press Ctrl G, I go to Special and I say, hey, why don't you give me those cells which have formulas inside them, and the outcome of that is a numeric data or numbers. So I click on OK and I can see some of the cells getting selected, and for my convenience I'm choosing a fill color, let's say blue. Wow. In this entire range of data, I could figure out that there are 4 cells which have some kind of calculations inside them. And this could be a very useful technique if you are working on some kind of a financial model or a business calculation sheet. I hope this was clear to you, but I will not end here. I'll show you more use cases, and that's more important. Knowing the feature is one thing, but knowing where to use this is another. Now, similarly, let's say I had a bonus calculation sheet for some of the employees of the company. Ideally, everybody was supposed to be given 10% bonus. You could see that in the calculation, right? So what I would like to do is there any cell where instead of 10%, the number has been hard coded? So let me find out. I choose the entire block. I press Ctrl G or function key F5, and if you're a Mac user, you have to press caret and G. So I click on Special. I go to Constants. Now this means the data is hard coded and the outcome of that I want to target is numbers. So hard coded number is what I am targeting right now. I click on OK and immediately I color the cells. So now you see that there are 2 cells which don't have formulas and the data is hard coded. Pretty useful when you want to audit a certain calculation. People in finance, accounts and auditing will find this extremely useful. Let me now move over to the next case study. Now you might tell me that hey, instead of somebody hard coding the data, somebody kept the formula but simply changed the value to 15%. Now in that case, this is not a constant and you cannot detect with the previous technique. So what I would do is show you another important technique. Watch. I choose this data set, I press Ctrl G as usual, I go to special and then I choose column differences. Now, what does this mean? It means within a column, if you're supposed to have a consistent calculations and there are differences in few cells, please highlight those. So I click on OK and I got some cells selected. I will color them, let's say light orange, and let me figure out why were these 4 cells getting colored in the first place. So if you look at it, the bonus is 10% all across, right? However, in the first selected cell, I can see 18%. In the second selected cell, I can see 18%. The next colored cells, it's a hard-coded data. And the next one also is a basic formula starting with equal to and a number data. So very, very useful in case you are looking to find some anomalies, some odd calculations that you could never figure out just by looking at the numbers. Please do share in the feedback whether all these use cases you're able to correlate with your work profile or not. In the meantime, let me continue and give you more such use cases. As I said earlier, go to special feature may be known to you, but if you know the use cases better, you'll be able to apply this in your work. Now, suppose you have a data and you have some blank cells in this data range. You would want to color them. And after coloring them, maybe you would want to fill all these blank cells with the word pending. Okay, so I press Ctrl G, I go to special and I choose blanks. I click on OK. Now, please note there's a technique involved, so you have to watch this very closely. I am not choosing the first cell separately because if I do that, I lose all my selection. So I choose the range once again. I repeat my process of reaching out to the blanks section. And after doing so, the first keystroke I press is PENDING. But wait, I am not going to press enter. I will be pressing Control and enter to get all these 4 cells filled with the word pending. I repeat, Control enter. Let me quickly recap that because this is a very, very powerful technique. Control G, special, blanks, okay. I write the word pending or any other word you would want to write, but before you exit the cell, do not press enter. You must press Control enter. And of course, you can color the cells as well. Now, moving on to the next case study. Look, at any given point in time, you can go back, watch some of the case studies which I discussed in the previous few minutes. For now, let me continue with the momentum. Suppose you have a data set which talks about supplier number and supplier name and all the transactions that took place with them. Okay. Now, if you wish to do a filter or a pivot table, let's see what happens. Let's say filter. Let's say I decided to choose DC power system amongst all the names. Okay. You observed? You saw that only one line of data is getting selected, and that's because these cells are blank. So technically speaking, you need to copy this and paste in all these blank cells. And you have to do that for all the names. So if you want to do this fast for multiple such names, very easy technique. Purposely, I'm not using a lot of shortcut keys right now because my main focus is to solve the problem. So therefore, I'm choosing this data manually. Now, once I choose this data, I will press Ctrl G and go to special. Okay. Within special, I choose blanks and I click on OK. Now, as you notice, all the blank cells have been chosen. Now, at this point, remember, I do not need to choose this cell again. If I do so, I lose all my selection. So I repeat my process and this time I'll make the necessary correction. I press Ctrl G, I go to special, I choose blanks and I click on OK. Now, I press equal to and I choose the cell above that equal to sign. Now at this point, if I want this logic to get inside every blank cell that, hey, why don't you pick a value from the cell above you? If I need this logic for every blank cell, I need to press Control Enter. See? Great, isn't it? And remember, if the first value is deleted, the other cells will also follow and they will show you blank values. So it's important to conclude this entire process with copy and do a paste special values so that all the data points which got filled as a result of the formula get converted into a constant hard-coded value. And even if you decide to delete the first value, it doesn't impact the subsequent values. Now, I'm sure that some of you would want to go back few minutes and re-watch this entire step again. But just a very, very quick recap. You may want to choose the data, press Ctrl G, special, choose blanks, OK. Press equal to, choose the cell above that and press Ctrl Enter. That's it. And conclude that with paste special value. I hope this was clear. By the way, if you could do this, you could apply a pivot table and find the top 3 supplier names. That means the total of their transaction value, which are the top 3 number and the subsequent supplier name. I'm not doing this exercise. If you are aware of pivot table, why don't you try this with pivot table and see if you can get the top 3 suppliers name answer. Just to give you a quick hint, if I do a sum of DC power system, it gives me 300,000 something. If I do ATMA telepower, then it gives me the value of 437. So between the two, this is the top supplier. Now, moving on, I go to the next case study, and this is pretty useful for formatting. Sometimes I see people that they hide rows because they may not be relevant. So they hide the rows, and then they would want to color all these cells. Now the problem with that is, even if you decide to unhide the rows back, all the rows that you had earlier hidden also got colored in the process. So how do you avoid this? Suppose you hid some rows. Next, what you do is choose the range of cells, press Ctrl G, go to special, and there you'll find something called visible cells only. The shortcut key of this is Alt and semicolon in Windows. So I can also choose this range and press Alt semicolon. It will invariably choose all the visible cells, and then if you color it, look at the outcome. If I unhide all the rows, look at the outcome. Those hidden cells were not getting colored. So it's a very, very useful trick, especially for formatting. How do you target the visible cells only and act on them? Next, suppose you have few charts and icons and shapes in the sheet and you want to select all of them and delete them. At this point in time, people select multiple objects by pressing Control. Now you generally get this problem when you download some data from the internet, maybe an Excel file which may have a lot of logos or pictures, and you want to delete them. So what we do is Control G, special, and we say objects. So all the objects should be selected, okay. If you want to deselect any object, maybe you would want to keep the Apple logo. So I press Control and click on that icon, and then I press the delete key. There you go. You may not find this useful on a day-to-day basis, but once in a month, you might want to use this technique. Moving on, 06, the sheet 06, and here I have a group of cells which may have comments or notes inside them. In the earlier version of Excel, it used to be referred as comment, but now in the later versions, it is referred as note. Okay. Now I would want to filter the cells which have comments or notes in them. So to do so, I press Ctrl G, I go to special and I choose notes. In the earlier versions of Excel, you would find the word comments here. I click on OK, I color them. And as you would know that if you have some cells colored and then you apply filter, okay, you can filter the data based on that color. Pretty useful, right? So I know this was a lengthy video, but you could realize now that I was discussing so many different use cases for one single feature called Control G. If I had more time, I would probably spend another half an hour to discuss more such features here. But let me tell you, the ones which I've discussed with you in this video are the most essential ones. So hope to get some feedback from you in the comment section. And do let me know whether any of these techniques proved useful to you. Thank you.